Good afternoon and welcome to the Vault Excel. Hello, Patricia, Sandra. Thank you all for joining me. This will be an in-depth discussion pertaining to two missing children cases in Tennessee, Summer Wells and Sebastian Rogers. I will give you stats pertaining to the populations of those said jurisdictions where the children live, and also I'm going to give you commentary pertaining to how many children are currently missing out of the state of Tennessee. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $ BeganG129 Cash App. Stickers and chats are welcome during the live stream. The link will be dropped when I am done with the commentary. You're welcome to join the panel to give your opinion pertaining to the relayed information. Please be respectful to the hostess and the chat and viewing audience. As of March 4th, 2024, at least 40 children are missing in Tennessee, and there are 6 active Amber Alerts. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation lists missing children on its website, but these cases do not represent all missing children in the state. The TBI only lists cases that might benefit from publicity, such as parental abductions, runaways, or children considered at risk. So now people are going to ask, well, then what are the other cases that you're not listing, and the motivation? Very interesting. On average, 500 to 600 children under 18 go missing in Tennessee each month. The public is often a key tool in helping to find missing children, and tips can be vital in many cases. March 4th is Tennessee Missing Children's Day, a day designated to raise awareness of unsolved missing child cases. Very interesting. So March 4th here in Tennessee is celebrated for missing children. Right now, 40 children are currently missing, but I believe there are only 39 actually listed on the TBI website. Rogersville, Tennessee has a population of 4,623 as of 2024. The demographic is 98.7 Caucasian. Hendersonville, Tennessee. As of late of 2024 census, 64,117 people live in this area, and the demographic there is 84.5 Caucasian people. So both places have a high population of white people. The 2 children in this case who come from each jurisdiction, they're also white. One is a little girl, Summer Wells, Rogersville, she's Caucasian. And a boy child, 15, missing from Hendersonville area. He is also white. $39, $40 is still a bad number for children to be missing, period, because there shouldn't be any children missing. Now, naturally, there will be cases, as you hear in this reading, that children run away, because that was a high number. 500 to 600 under 18 go missing in Tennessee each month. That's a lot of children a month, not a year, but a month, because anything can happen, pertaining to children. They decide they want to run away. They're not happy. They don't like their home life, whatever the circumstances are, they go missing. But what is sad amongst the 500, 600, because they're probably just guesstimating, whatever the number is of children running away, missing from a home, Tennessee, elsewhere, is the fact that some of those children, they're not runaways. They're not runaways. They are actually missing by the hands of a human being. And that's what we're going to discuss during this live stream. 2 cases out of Tennessee pertaining to 2 Caucasian children. One's been missing almost 3.5 years. That's Summer Wells. And one child's been missing 8 months. That's Sebastian Rogers. Where are these children? Many have their own speculations and assertions of what happened to either child. As I said, you're entitled to your opinion. Many believe there is foul play at hand in both cases. You're entitled to your opinion. I do believe in both cases there is foul play. In both cases. And I don't have to explain what foul play is. It's sad nonetheless. It's sad nonetheless. We're going to start with Summer Wells since her case is the oldest. There have been a few updates since June pertaining to Summer missing. Vinnie Politan has done a program on her a month ago. Feel free to check it out. I'm going to go to WBIR. This is dated August 16th, 2024. Appalachian Unsolved. Where is Summer Wells? It's been more than 3 years since Summer Wells disappeared from her Hawkins County home. Despite a still active Amber Alert, there has been no sign of the girl. And that is something also interesting. Why I'm discussing these two cases, because they have gotten the most attention here in Tennessee. Each still have an active Amber Alert. Sebastian Rogers and Summer Wells. Don Wells can rattle off a string of theories about the disappearance of his daughter, Summer Wells. She could be tormented every day, tortured every day, he said. She could be locked in a basement with chains. She could be going the rounds with drug dealers. There are all kinds of things, but there's a small bit of hope that she could be with possibly someone who cares about her. We don't know. Summer disappeared from her home on Ben Hill Road in Beach Creek community of Hawkins County around 6:30 p.m. June 15, 2021. Authorities set off an exhaustive search lasting late into the night. Just after midnight, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation issued an endangered child alert. Around 12 hours later, it was updated to an Amber Alert, which is still active today. In the days that followed, crews searched more than 3,000 acres using helicopters, planes, drones, scent tracking dogs. At the time, authorities said the search was complicated by Hawkins County thick brush and steep landscape, making it difficult for people to comb through the area and find her. Years went by with no sign of Summer. In June of 2023, around 2 years after she went missing, the TBI released an enhanced age progression photo of what Summer might look like. Today, she would be 8 years old. Many people have speculated what they think has happened in the case, said Josh Melton, Assistant Director of TBI's Criminal Investigation Division. The difficult part of speculation is that if we as investigators speculate and focus our efforts in one direction, we're making a huge mistake. TBI investigators said they have to explore all possibilities, from Summer wandering off to her being kidnapped. We have thrown everything that we know to throw at this case, and we haven't had the answers that we need to get, Melton said. We know we'll get them, but we don't have them today. Summer's disappearance troubled people locally and across the country. Several women who connected online with a shared concern about Summer started organizing vigils and events to shed light on the case. They were back in the area on the 3rd anniversary of Summer's disappearance in June 2024 to gather and have a day of justice for Summer at Warriors Path State Park. Andreen Kelly was there, traveling all the way from Ohio. I've got little blonde-headed, blue-eyed babies too, Kelly said. It's hard to see her and know that it could have been mine. I mean, it could be anybody's. This is serious. That's why Kelly's determined to keep Summer's case in the spotlight. The only thing that we can do is keep sharing her picture, and someone will know something, and someone will eventually report it. She said, I have to hold that hope. Summer's case sparked plenty of interest and a number of conspiracy theories. Social media is full of videos speculating about possible suspects, including Don and Candace Wells. We don't pay no attention to them because they have no idea, Don said. We can't go there because One second. It jumped off there. Okay. We can't go there because that's just a waste of time. Well, that's funny. It wasn't at one point, was it not? When they decided to delight us in their presence up here on YouTube. Months after Summer was reported missing, the two appeared on Dr. Phil. As the case attracted national attention during the national television appearance, Don said he believed his daughter had been kidnapped. WBIR asked if he could confidently say he had nothing to do with his daughter's disappearance. I absolutely can, he said. He also said he does expect to see his daughter again. Eventually, he said, I don't know about in this life, but eventually, yeah. July 2021. The Tennessee Department of Children's Services said Summer's brothers were removed from the Wells family home. Don said he and Candace recently signed over their parental rights. WBIR reached out to the department for comment on this story, but was told DCS could not release case-specific information. WBIR also reached out to the Hawkins County Sheriff, who declined an interview, but said that this case and still a priority and will continue to be until Summer is found. Anyone with information about the disappearance of Summer Wells should call 1-800-TBI-FIND. Where is Summer Wells? Is she alive or is she deceased? How did she go missing? On her own accord or by the hands of a family member, family acquaintance, random stranger? Or was it some type of accident on that hill with her brothers? As you heard in this commentary, the brothers are not in the parents' care. They have not been in their care for years. And they recently now, the parents, signed over their rights to the children, if you believe that version. I always thought the rights had been gone. But maybe Tennessee gave them enough time to try to get their SHIT together and they decided not to, chose not to rather. And the children now are fully wards of the state. How are the children faring? Are they doing well? One brother should be a full-fledged teenager. Soon he will be an adult. Will he try to reach out to his biological parents, find them? God, I hope not. I pray that the children are safe, that they're doing well, that they're prosperous, that they're happy, excelling well in school, extracurricular activities. Do they think of their sister? Do they miss their sister? Hell, do they even miss their parents? And that's the one thing about being a child. A child can be severely abused by his or her parents, and they still will want to live with their parents. They will still love their parents because children don't view the world as we do. Children don't get a real glimpse of what the world is about until they become grown, and then they decide for themselves how they want to navigate in the world. And that's the joy of being a child. Unconditional love. Children are more understanding. Children are more forgiving. Will these children forgive their biological parents for how they raised them and rear them on that hill? Will one of them come forward to tell what they think happened to their sister? Tell their side of their upbringing on the hill. I hope that one or all share their life and share what they think happened to their sister and what they saw on that fateful day that she allegedly went missing from their home. Now let's go over to Hendersonville, Tennessee. Thank you for joining me. Please follow the Queen on the Newsbreak app, where I give similar commentary pertaining to breaking news. WKRN News 2 is the source. Well, I think I'm going to find another source. Hold on one second, everybody. Trying to see if I can find an article. Actually, there's a news release. It's very, very, very sad. Everything's marking 7 months. Hope you all are well. Having a wonderful Sunday. It's beautiful here in the high 10. Absolutely gorgeous.
Sebastian Rogers was last seen at his home in Hendersonville. This morning, the search continues for the missing young man.
That's right. Jackson Pigeon joins us now with the latest from officials this morning.
Well, Allie and Blake, unfortunately, Sumner County law enforcement officials have not reported any new information on the case. You may remember back on February 26th, Sebastian seemingly vanished from his home in the area of Stafford Court in Hendersonville. An Amber Alert was issued the very next day and remains active this morning. Here are photos of Sebastian. He's described as 5'5", weighing 120 pounds with dirty blonde hair. He was last seen wearing a black sweatsuit and glasses. Officials say he has a medical condition that may impair his ability to return home safely. Crews have searched thousands of miles, including across state lines, using drones, helicopters, horses, search dogs, and dive teams with no sightings of the 15-year-old. When we last talked to Sebastian's biological father, Seth, he told us he has not stopped searching for his son.
As a father, you realize that a lot of things that you do in life is for your children. When they just go missing, the only thing you think about is trying to find them, bringing them home. Everything else is really not important.
Again, Sebastian remains at the center of an Amber Alert, with the FBI offering a $50,000 reward for information, and Dwayne Chapman, also known as Dog the Bounty Hunter, adding $75,000 to that, raising it to a total of $125,000. Sebastian is currently one of 9 active missing child alerts from the TBI. Anyone with any information is asked to call 1-800-TBI-FIND. Blake?
So, 1-800-TBI-FIND is the number for both cases. Each on opposite sides of Tennessee. Middle Tennessee, East Tennessee. 5-year-old girl, 15-year-old boy. Both Caucasian children. Both from small areas. I believe Sebastian lived kind of on the outskirts of Hendersonville, if I'm not mistaken. And so was Summer out of Rogersville, Tennessee. Where are these children? Who are the villains that got them gone? Because I believe these are cases of villains that remove the children and remove the children permanently. That's my opinion. What is sad about both cases, they both got notoriety and made it to social media in a horrible way. Horrible, despicable way. Lots of ugly things have been said by all of us pertaining to these people involved in the case, rearing the children. And it's sad that it had to play out that way. But it is happening more and more because we have social media. Everybody is a sleuth, a detective, a PI. Everybody wants to be involved. Everybody wants 5 minutes of fame. Everybody wants to be the hero, Captain Saberho, pertaining to a missing child, missing person. And this just goes to show you how lonely people are. Psychic readings, psychic boxes, talking boxes, when people don't know what the hell they're talking about. And anybody with some sense that's logical and have all their brain cells would say to themselves, this is just a bunch of fluff, rhetoric from very bored, disturbed people. This is why I always tell you that most people are 1 minute from becoming a true crime story and they don't even know it. All you have to do is listen to them speak and talk, their behavior, how they act. And you're looking at them like, damn, I'll be watching you on YouTube next. Of course you will. Because these people that you see that make the news, what do you think they were doing in their spare time? before they were arrested for a crime, murder, homicide, attempted murder, assault, neglect, watching social media, being on social media. I was thinking about Ruby Frankie yesterday. I was thinking about how many times I go into the YouTube queue and watch different channels on, home decor, different things. And the first thing I say to myself is that you don't know people. This woman put on a facade that she cared for her children. But at some point, the people who are watching her content realized she was not who she claims to be, that she was abusing her children. And obviously, whoever and whomever saw and complained to the Department of Human Services, they were right on the money. But sadly, DHS did not believe the allegations. And that happens a lot in these types of cases of abuse and neglect of children. That DHS is called, but they go in the house and they look around at the fine home and furnishings, and they're looking at the parents well-dressed. And hell, they might be unkempt like the Wells, and they still say, that's okay. Ain't nothing going on here. And then we had the fallout, did we not? She decided to keep 2 of her children hostage and not feed them and mistreat them alongside her girlfriend, Miss Hildebrandt. The point I'm trying to make is that you don't know people. So if you can easily get immersed in watching someone on YouTube or TikTok, looking at their content, talking about playing with a squirrel, or, hey, follow me around with my children while I run around and pick them up, take them to school, you can be easily manipulated. You can be easily misled to the person that you are watching. Now, common sense, we're all flawed. We all have problems. We all have done wrong, fornicated, sin. But there's a special type of evil when you're portraying yourself as a whole, healthy person taking care of children. Totally, totally different, is it not? You're making people believe you care, but you don't. So that's what I want you to think about when you're listening to this live stream. The people who are portraying themselves to care for their children, whether they are a blogger, TikToker, CEO, garbage man, the lady that works at McDonald's, the illusion they portray to the masses. I love my kids. I care for my kids. They doll them up, put them in pretty hair bows. You've seen that, have you not? Looking at the children and walking down the street or playing on the playground, and you're looking at the little girl and you're saying, oh my gosh, she's so cute. She's so pretty. Oh, look at her little hair bows. Her hair is so pretty. Her mom has styled her hair so pretty. Be very careful. Because we are dressed up to play a part, are we not? Do we not? Dressed to play a part. So it doesn't matter if the child lives in a fancy home, they're dressed up nice, their parents look nice, or they live in a trailer over here and barely living, don't have a change of clothes. It's all an illusion. Because people will sell you what they want about themselves and their family life. And I'm sure in this case, these cases, that was done with Sebastian and also done with Summer Wells. The falutin and the putting on and sitting in church and clapping your hands to the church hymns was all an illusion. Going out to eat, playing games, going to sporting events with your child. You really didn't want people to know you didn't like your child. Come on with it, Quay. Who's going to tell that? I don't like this kid. You're looking at me out in public with this kid at the Walmart, Costco. If I could drop him or her off, I would. You all better pay attention. Everything's an illusion. People going live, streaming. And then when the camera's down, the phone's off. They're wanting to hurt themselves, harm other people. They're suicidal. They're beating their kids and neglecting their kids. It's all an illusion, you see. Now, there are some people who will definitely come out and just be bogus with their abuse And you can see they don't like their children. Have you seen that before? I'm sure you have. Cussing their kids out, yanking them, pulling them, pushing them, shoving them, punching them, cursing them out, slapping them. And you're looking like, damn, this is how you treat your kid? I don't give a fuck. MF doing this, won't listen, blah, blah, blah. You're so stupid, you're dumb, calling them nasty names. And you're sitting here wanting to cry right there on the spot like, wow. This is what you think of your child. Of course. Of course. The worst part of those who don't visibly abuse their children in public. Ruby Frankie is a prime example. Because I always tell people, imagine what you don't know. So if people were watching her show and started seeing signs that something wasn't right with her and her kids, imagine what you didn't see and imagine the worst case scenario. And I think we got a glimpse of that a year or so ago. The worst case scenario. When the children were found down in Miss Hildebrand's home. Emaciated, wounds on wrists and ankles. The children are lucky to even be alive because they could have passed away. Because when you starve a person, the organs will fail. And these people could never say, oh, I was just trying to show them a lesson or teach them a lesson. What, by starving them? Isolating them? What lesson were you trying to teach your children? Looks like to me you were trying to kill your children. And nobody could tell me it wasn't attempted murder, because it was. Because common sense will tell you if you starve a person, there's nowhere for it to go but to death. So then you mosey on over here to East Tennessee. And you look at the worst situation that's ever been put to print about a little white girl in the holler. And you said to yourself, if you were saying, sweet Jesus, why did these people procreate? They came to YouTube acting a donkey's ass. So you already knew what time of day it was behind closed doors. This is why I keep trying to tell you, some people, they show you who they are. And as Maya Angelou once said, believe them. You can't even control yourself on social media, so that means you couldn't control yourself behind closed doors. Bingo card. You can get on a live stream and cuss people out, call people dirty, derogatory, racial slurs. That's what you would call people behind closed doors. That's what you would do to your children. You can call a black person a nigger, you would call a white person a nigger, and you would call your own child that's white a nigger. Checkmate. You would beat your child, curse your child, call them all kind of dirty MS and everything ungodly. Because see, what you're telling the world, the children, this is what I think about myself. Come on with it, Queen. Take you to church. I don't like me. And when you look at these parents of these children, both cases, that's exactly what I see in both. I don't like myself. So hell no, I don't like my kid. Hell, I don't like the one I'm sleeping with. Woo! Come on with it, Queen. Lord have mercy. I gotta chill. I don't like myself. When I look in the mirror, I don't like what I see. A drunk, a crackhead, a narcissist, a sociopath, a psychopath looking back, stringy hair, bum, fat belly. I'm a bum. And I was a bum to my kids. That's why they're not here, you see. So you don't love you don't love your kids, and you don't love your partner. And a partner should say the same if it's foul play in both cases. If they can knock off a kid, they could knock off me. Checkmate. Woo! Have mercy. I need a church fan. You all better wake up. See, that's the thing about collusion. Because I believe it's collusion in both cases. If they'll do it to one, they'll do it to you. You must have missed that part of the memo in the aiding and abetting and the planning of the demise of a child. Well, if they got that mindset, I got this mindset, we are in trouble. Yes, you are. But you can't tell a fool anything, can you? You cannot. Because they're know-it-alls. 2 children who should have had their whole lives ahead of them, they're gone. And as you hear this assistant director say, TBI, we can't go on assumption and assertions. We have to look at all avenues pertaining to a missing child. Basically, he was talking about Summer Wells with exhaust, every theory, not just that parents harmed the child, but possibly she ran away or she was kidnapped. Well, most cases are solved when it comes to kidnapping. Come on with it, Quay. Child abductions by parents usually solved. Why not in this case? So you're telling us almost in 3.5 years, you have nothing on this little girl missing from the hollow. My. Sounds orchestrated to me. But who am I? I'll tell you who I am. I'm somebody that's woke. And my opinion may not matter, but I'm woke. And I've seen the worst of man and woman, child too. And I know that in 3.5 years, you don't have anything to tell the public of relevance or substance. This would appear to me orchestrated. Now, Sebastian Rogers. Will his case end up like Summer Wells? Because he's already 8 months in, not seen, not heard from. Speculations in this case as well. So what you have to ask yourself are the pertinent questions when you assume the child is alive and the child is with other people, such as what you heard the father say about Summer. Maybe somebody's taking care of her. Like whom? Why would somebody be taking care of your child? The only reason somebody would be taking care of your child, and this is the same for Sebastian, you gave your child to somebody. Checkmate. And why would you be doing that? And what fool's going to hold a child knowing that there is an Amber Alert and an active investigation by the government? I'll let that sit right there. You would have to be an utter fool. That means also you'd have to hide the child out because the child can't go outside because people would recognize the child. Come on with it, Quay. Oh, that looks like the child I seen on the news on the TBI. Amber Alert. I better call 911. Of course. So I don't think that's the appropriate scenario. Now, children are abducted by creepy crawlies all the time. And most of the times when children are abducted, it's for nefarious reasons. And I don't have to go into that. You can use your imagination. And usually those children don't live for the obvious reasons. So take your pick. And in the case of Sebastian, authorities basically said, we don't have anything of him coming out the door. So use deduction. So you got to backtrack. Well, if he didn't come out that night, we don't got proof that's actually him emptying the trash. Then that leaves, did he even make it to the house from the restaurant where there's really the last proof of life is the restaurant. And then this nonsense of black shirt, black pants. Oh, now, you don't really believe that, do you? That's somebody else's version. Bring a receipt. Bring a receipt. Because if it's foul play, you mean that's what he was last in before he took his last breath. You see, there's always some truth to a version by a perpetrator. If indeed these people unalive their children, when they start describing what they were wearing, maybe law enforcement don't find these clothes that these children were allegedly wearing, then possibly that is what the child had on last, before last breath. And there are things that law enforcement is not going to tell you about a case as not to alert the perpetrator, of course. So maybe that's why we're not hearing anything in both cases. I can't tell you anything because whatever I would tell you would let the perpetrator know I know he or she or they are involved in the disappearance of the children. Checkmate. So I can't tell you anything. So is that the case in both disappearances? You do have something, but you can't tell it because it would alert who you think took the child if indeed it's foul play. So now I'm going to ask, is it foul play in the disappearance of Summer Wells and Sebastian Rogers? Both cases are eerily similar with the hoopla and the crazy talk from bio donors, caretakers of the children. Sebastian definitely has not gotten a fair play. His sad disappearance has played out on social media, just like Summer Wells. Each parent came to YouTube. Mistake number one. The last place you should have came. But in the case of Sebastian, these parents have taken it to a new level of wanting to take people to court, filing injunctions and order of protections. It's then got very, very nasty. It's the same meddling, people wanting to be involved, people wanting attention, people wanting to go live from their YouTube channels and TikTok and so on and so forth. It's all just a bunch of fluff, just a bunch of crazy nutters. Or some people might say mad hatters. And this just goes to show you how crazy the world actually is if you're really paying attention. See, I'm always woke. Everything that's played out in the Summer Wells case, Sebastian Rogers case, it is just showing you what's self-evident, that people are not mentally stable. Going off, crying, falling out, arguing with people, accusing people of this and that, throwing daggers. You released this, you released a phone call. I heard you said this. Just babbling idiots. And what you have to tell yourself is, well, then why were you involved? What is the purpose of this? So I'm just going to ask everybody involved, do you want your child found or not? Because everybody's going to have their perception of the latest events with the injunctions that Mr. Seth is taking out pertaining to his child, not wanting people to search. Some people might judge him and say, well, you must not want nobody to search for your kid. So now you're acting like the other two. It's out to your opinion. Everybody weighs everything differently. But then the flip side of that, it could be he don't want people searching because he knows it'll start some new SHIT. And then naturally the people will be wanting help because you need money to look for people, do you not? You got to drive around, you got to walk around, you got to travel to Hendersonville. Well, that's money. You don't live here. So we have this Mr. Fisher, a new character who has jumped aboard this Rogers case. Or shall I say this gravy train? Now, Queen. Yeah, I said that. What is your stake in the game? Because, you always have to be careful of people who come in rodeo style like it's the big bad West. Drawing guns and you did this and you're doing this and he ain't doing this. People can look at you and say the same, as I said in my live stream late this morning. Please check it out pertaining to the disappearance of Sebastian Rogers at 8 months. This is a continuation. I can say the same about you, Mr. Fisher. And you want attention. You're looking for attention. The father don't want you searching, then let it go. You want to search? Do it quietly. Don't even let nobody know you're doing anything. Don't talk about it on social media. Just get on the ground and do what you got to do. Because you always got to remember, if you skirt around quietly, nobody would know what you're doing. Ding, ding, ding. So you're throwing accusations against Dog the bounty hunter. He's only doing it for attention. A few other people have said that in the media. Dog's only getting involved for attention. Well, he's put up money. Did you put up money? Woo! Damn, Queen. I felt that. Ouch. Mr. Fisher, have you put up any money towards a reward fund or aiding any help in the disappearance of the child? Have you put up any money out your pocket? Because even in getting attention, as you're saying this about Mr. Dog, that's still his damn money. So I'm going to say it again. Where is your check, sir? So you have to be very careful about throwing daggers. Because people are going to look at you and start asking questions as well. Well, who is this fella? Where does he come from? What does he want out of this? So we can say the same about you. You're just in it for the attention as well. Have people following you around, asking for donations. At some point, aren't you going to ask people to help? Or are you going to say, well, I don't need anybody's money. I have a legitimate agency. I have a license. But it still costs, sir, to search for people. It costs to get memos out. It costs to get on foot, get by car. Last I checked, you have to have gasoline to put inside of an automobile, gas tank to ride around. You don't live in Hendersonville, so that means you're either going to fly, ride, Uber. You get my point. Stop the foolishness. That's all you've seen in both cases. Now, allegedly, somebody had commented in my video this morning about Bullhorn Betty. She was talking still. I don't know. I don't watch her. Don't care. The point I'm making is how far it has gone in the Sebastian Rogers case to where it's all legal nonsense. You can't talk. You can't say nothing. Don't talk about my child. Don't talk about me. Don't stalk me. Don't ride by my house. Don't take no pictures. But it was okay for you to get on YouTube and talk bad about Sebastian. Oh, shit. Don't do that, Queen, but I'm going to. It's okay for you to talk about a child like a dog, but can't nobody talk about you and ride by and take pictures of your house and look at you. Well, as I told the fans, I know one YouTuber. I haven't watched his content in a while. Hell, I don't even remember his damn name. He rode by your house so many times, he could have sat on the motherfucking front lawn. Come on with it, Queen. They don't hear you. See, I call a spade a spade. Because if you got security cameras, you would have seen this person riding by 5, 6 damn times showing the public your house. He didn't need to keep driving around, round and round and round. Hell, I'm sitting in my own bed getting dizzy. Woo! Take him to church, because I will. So if you're going to do one, you better do them all. And that's where the judge would have to say, this ain't nothing but a circus. Because that's what this is getting ready to become. You take one to court, you're going to have to take somebody else to court because they're talking about you. What do we used to say as little black children in the city? Lord, no, we had some fables we used to sing. Wine, 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 suck your mama's titty. Suck your mama's titty. That's what we have in this scenario pertaining to Sebastian Rogers. A bunch of grown folks sucking their mama's titty and ain't no milk in her breast. Checkmate. So what you're looking for is the formula, I suppose. But you're too old to be sucking on breast milk. All of you. So you need to grow up. Stop acting like juveniles. But see, God is trying to tell you something. Woo! We're going to do the color purple. Saying the Lord's trying to tell you something. Saying the Lord's trying to tell you something. God's trying to tell you something with Sebastian Rogers as well. Nobody ever cared. That's why you're getting all of this nonsense. You ain't figured that out? It's Summer Wells. Shit, 8.0. Ain't no 2.0. It's a repeat of Summer Wells. I'm going to do whatever I can to divert the truth. I'm going to act a donkey's ass. I'm going to throw daggers. I'm going to accuse this one of this. I'm going to go to court. I'm going to take Pookie to court, Ray Ray, Shamiqua, a bullhorn. I'm going to do whatever I can to get you to stop looking at me. Voila. Magic. Y'all ain't figured that out. Because I'm woke. Say it again, Queen. I'm going to do whatever I can to get you to stop looking at me. Now, why would that be? Because you know the child was last in your peripheral or your conspirators' peripheral. So in order to get you all, the public, to stop talking and gossiping about us, I got to do something to make you stop talking. So I'll take your ass to court. But what you don't understand, you might take 1, 2, 3 to court, and you got your hillbilly ass judges want to jump on board. But what all y'all gonna do is fuck around and find out payback's a motherfucker. That's what you don't understand. That there will be retribution for what you're doing. Because you're not trying to find the child. You all are playing a dirty game. And you all are going to win foolish prizes. And frankly, I think you have already. That's what I used to tell people. Don't worry about the vengeance. Don't worry about the people getting retribution. They're already suffering. Pay attention now. Because that's what we all do when we see people acting a donkey's ass and we're sitting here saying, oh, I can't believe what they did, what they said, and why they're doing this to me, and why they're acting like this, and blah, 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 blah. You don't see they're already suffering, honey. They're already in the retribution. That's why they're acting a donkey's ass. Woo! Come on, Queen. Lord, I felt the spirit on that one. They're already in retribution. That's why they're acting a donkey's ass. You don't get it? So you ain't got to do nothing to these fools. Let them knock themselves out. You all want to keep fussing and fighting and flip assing around and keep running to the courthouse. That's going to backfire too. Watch and see. That running to the courthouse, filing documents every 5 minutes about a motherfucker stalking you and doing this, and I don't want this person talking, I want this person searching. You can believe me as I say this today on this live stream. That's going to backfire. Watch and see. Because the judge is going to start taking a head count. Now look. I gave you a restraining order on this person. Now, how many times you going to keep running here on a restraining order? Be very careful. It's kind of like the little boy that cried wolf. You keep running and running and running and running and making up stuff, and some of it might be half truth, half lies, whatever. But at some point when the wolf does come, nobody believes you. This is why all of you need to tread lightly in this nonsense. There are children missing, and the focus should be the children. Not your egos, not your attitudes, not what Pookie Ray Ray did to you 5 years ago, 10 years ago, broken marriages, broken relationships. All of you all need to be focusing on the disappearance of your child. But you can't focus on that because maybe possibly you're the reason that the child is missing. And that's why you're doing all this crazy nonsense and it's playing out on social media. It is an atrocity for anything to play out on social media. I don't care what it is. You having a fight with your brother, your sister, your child, don't take that shit to social media. That's not the place for that. See, these people out here watching, just like some of you in the chat now, you like that bullshit. You know I'll call you out. You like it. You get off on it. Girl, let me tell you what she said on Facebook about her mama. Girl, let me tell you what he said on YouTube about his daddy. Woo, honey, yeah, blah, 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 blah. Y'all love that shit until it's your turn. Now, Queen, yeah, I said that. It ain't funny when it's your turn. And that's what some of you need to think about when you up here and you're engaging in this nonsense. You would have a fit if somebody went to social media and was doing you the same damn way and talking about what you did and said, and you took money out the bank without somebody's permission, or you got all the silverware when your daddy died and you didn't give your sister daddy no money, or the cousin no money, or the other brother sister no money. You the only one got money from the life insurance policy. You see where I'm going. You wouldn't want them sins to play out on YouTube, Facebook. So you should be very careful in indulging in that shit up here. Because what you need to understand is that this is nothing but misery, social media. Miserable people playing out their lives for attention. The very reason why you have the mischief in the Summerwells case, Sebastian Rogers case, is because the people involved in the story are miserable as fuck. They're not happy. They never were. The very reason why the child is not here. Because misery loves company. And frankly, none of these motherfuckers need kids. Because that's what I would say to myself watching it. If this is how you're acting now, this is how you were acting when the child was visible. Checkmate. So how could the child have been happy? How could the children have been happy? They weren't. They were just riding the ride because they didn't have a choice. They didn't have an option. And that's a terrible place to be as a child. You see, when you're grown, you can go do whatever the hell you want to do. You want to go ride on a train with a Kroger bag and just yourself? You can. You want to check into a hotel for 5 days and you got the money? You can. You want to quit your fucking job and go get another damn job? You can. But you don't got that option when you're a child. You are stuck like Chuck. You got to deal with these fools. And that's what's so scary. It's being a child and you don't have no way out. You're stuck with these heathens. You're stuck listening to people argue and bicker, getting drunk, getting high on drugs, bringing all type of creepy, crawly people around. God forbid that people are touching you inappropriately. You are stuck. And it's not fair to you. But what are your options? Because you are just a child. And you don't know nothing else but them creeps. That's why many of us couldn't wait to become grown so we didn't have to deal with these crazy ass adults. And let me say something to you parents, because Queen gonna school your ass this morning. Everything you're doing right now, listen carefully. Because what I'm saying is the whole truth. Because I'm a living witness. Everything you're doing right now pertaining to your children, whether they are dead or alive, you're going to pay for that. So everything you all are doing as far as the courts and running to the courts with this shit, you going to pay later. Ask me how I know. Because I watched it play out with two people on their deathbeds and they suffered. They suffered because God don't like ugly. So all the shit you do as a human, as a parent, what you did not do, your sins, they find you out in the end. And let me tell you, honey, it ain't what you want. You don't want to lay on your deathbed suffering. Tubes running through your mouth, your nose. You don't even know that somebody's standing there hoping you wake up. You're too weak to get up to use the bathroom, too weak to eat. And you probably are sitting there wondering, dear God, what did I do to get in this situation? Why me? What did the pastor once say? Why not you? Who are you to not suffer? My son died on the cross for your sins. He gave up his life for you. So what are you crying about? Woo! That's my testimony. That everything you all are doing right now, with all this crazy nonsense, these YouTubers, injunctions, protection orders, you go pay for all that later. You don't see it now because you think you're in the right. But God got to get it back, and you don't see that yet. God gonna get it back, and you better pray that you don't end up like where your child is. Checkmate. Because none of you all are going to tell us the truth to what happened to your children. You're never going to tell us the truth that you failed your kids, that you were not there for them mentally, physically like you should have been. You didn't stand in the gap like you should have. You watched shit go on and down when you should have popped off then. Come on with it, Quinn. They don't hear you. You see, your pop-off was when the children were visible. So all this shit that y'all are doing, you should have done this when the motherfucking kids were visible. What the fuck you want to do it for now? You should have stood in the gap when they were visible. Oh, that's right. You couldn't stand in the gap because they weren't worthy. Oh, my bad. I get it. They weren't worthy. So basically, you all were playing duck, duck, goose for 5 years in the holler and 15 years Hendersonville, Tennessee. Is that what we're saying here? Let's see how long we can play these reindeer games with these children. So basically, the children were on a time clock. Wow. And they didn't even know it. And that's a terrible place to be as a child. It's to be on a time clock and not even know your time is running out. Lord have mercy. I say that would be cruel for anybody breathing, especially if it's orchestrated. Somebody got you on a clock and they count down until they get rid of you. Sweet Jesus. I pray I'm never in that situation as an adult. Because that's the point of life, is it not? You don't know the hour you're going to leave here. You walking around, bebopping around, thinking that tomorrow is guaranteed to you. You gonna see tomorrow. When little do you know, your number gonna come up in a few days. Either by natural, an accident, or somebody's gonna snuff you out. And that's a terrible thought pertaining to a child. But as I've brought you stats in the past couple of years of talking about children being murdered, missing, whichsoever, it's their parents who unalive them, not strangers. Did you hear what I said? It's not the boogeyman. It's not Michael Myers. It's not Freddy Krueger. It's not Jason. It's the parents. And that's the stat from FBI, not Angela. And the stats aren't lying. So just the fact that a lot of children, and when I say a lot, we're talking about damn near 500 a year, they are unalived by their caretaker, guardian parents. That should tell you something. That we are in dire straits. That we have people out here that don't need to be, one, having sex, nor procreating. They don't need to be adopted children. They don't need to be fostering children. Period. And the cases are all the same. Everybody's walking around with a mask on, pretending to care for children. And you hear it all the time. I'm going to say something about a man who was on this show called The Bachelorette, The Golden Bachelorette. Something he said that bothered me. And I'm going to say it, and I don't care who don't like it. He was talking to the lady vying for her attention because, you know, there are lots of men that were contending to be her future husband. And while they were sitting there talking, he says, oh, yeah, I adopted a child, girl child. Why you got to tell her you adopted a kid? And somebody say, well, Queen, what's the big deal? Oh, well, it is a big deal because I hear it a lot from people. Why are you all telling people that you adopted a child? What's the point? They can see. And if they're babies, nobody knows that the child's adopted anyway. Checkmate. Why? Why say anything? Why not just say, I have a little girl and I love her. She's my everything. I get tired of people telling people they adopted kids. Sorry about the background. Whew, chirping dog, Lord have mercy. Why not just say, I have a child, I have a daughter, I have a beautiful daughter, I have a beautiful son, I have beautiful children, I love them. Because when you have children that you get at birth, nobody has to know, do they? Unless they knew that the person wasn't pregnant. Let me try to get where I can get some peace and quiet. Thank you all so much. The link is in the chat if you want to join me. Make this live count. Why do people need to know you adopted a child? Please enlighten me. All right, everybody. See, the reason why I mention this is for the obvious reason. Sometimes people tell things because they want attention. Oh, I adopted a kid, I fostered a kid. And we've seen this play out so many times that it's all for show. Now, this man may actually love his daughter. They may actually have a good relationship. But I just it just bothers me to hear a person saying, I adopted a kid. Or they're walking around and they're somewhere in public and they say, this is my adoptive kid. So if I look at a white man with a white child, white children, and that's the first thing that comes out of his mouth, these are my adoptive children. Why are you telling people that? Why don't you just say, this is my son, Mikey, this is my daughter, Susan? Why do people need to know they're adopted? That's my point. Because is the point. That when people see you out with children, especially if you're the same race, they're not looking to say either way. So nobody knows until you say it. Now, naturally, you have a white skin and you have a brown child with you, then somebody might assume, okay, this must be an adopted kid. But you still don't have to say it, even if I'm assuming you adopted the child, because it's a black child or an Asian child. You still can say, this is my daughter, John, Jane. This is my son, John. Why not just say that? This is something I'm throwing out there. That I get tired of people saying that every time they introduce their children to people or talk about their children, they have to tell people they're adopted. Well, if you adopted them, you adopted them as your own, I would suspect. So then just call them that. This is my son. This is my daughter. You don't have to clarify they're adopted. Because there's some people who don't tell people they adopted a child. Because whether you assume it or not, it's really none of your business. Hello, everybody in the chat. Thank you for joining me this Sunday afternoon. What is going to become of these two cases, Summer Wells and Sebastian Rogers? Will we find out the children are alive or the children are no longer alive? And if they are not alive, what happened to them? Each case is sad and also pathetic because of the main reason they're not here and visible, and the fact that their parents came to social media and caused a ruckus pertaining to the children's disappearance. You cannot ignore that. It's baffling because this is not the place for a child's case to play out. It's inappropriate. It's absolutely inappropriate. One minute, everybody. Hello, dear. I have a few of you viewing. Thank you for your time. My prayers is that something will come about pertaining to the disappearance of Summer and Sebastian. Both missing from Tennessee. Both have the letter S in their name. 5 in the number that they were missing. Very creepy, eerie business. And I did a live about that months back. The similarities between the two. We counted up to probably about damn near 70 similarities in the case. And when you start counting it up, and then people started adding things during the chat, it was baffling. Like, dear God. 2 children from opposite sides of the state. Parents don't know each other, allegedly. Children never met one another, but yet their cases were so similar. Just poof, voila, they're gone. Each had allegations of DHS being involved in the cases at some point before the children went missing. And usually that's an indicator that people don't need the kids. Because whenever DHS gets involved, there are allegations of abuse and neglect, that's a bad sign. And you have to admit there's some truth to it because the children aren't here. So it's not like it's made up. It couldn't be made up because the kids aren't here. So why would somebody be calling DHS on you about your child? And now the child is gone. So there's got to be some truth in whatever the allegations were. So now you have to use deduction. If you had DHS called on you about your child your children, they're no longer visible, they're in state's care, then there was some truth to the allegations. Then where is your child? So then I also have to use deduction. You got something to do with your child missing. Bingo card. Come on with it, Queen. You can't have one without the other. What are the odds DHS was in your business at some point before the child went missing or right before the child went missing, and now the child is gone 8 months, 3.5 years. And I'm supposed to think as a sane person, you don't have nothing to do with your child missing. So who got your child then? Because there's no such thing as the boogeyman. Perhaps you are the boogeyman. You, your spouse, plural. This is depressing because, as I have said before in talking about both cases, there will be another Sebastian. There will be another Summer Wells. There's one right now somewhere in America. Somebody's looking for a little girl. Somebody's looking for a teenage boy, teenage girl, and they didn't run away. They were not kidnapped by the boogeyman. They were not lured out of a house. They were deliberately dismantled by their own family. And how many cases have we seen of people crying to the news about their missing child, and they are the perpetrator of the child, their demise? They got the child gone because they harmed the child for whatever selfish reason. And then they play it out on the news. Oh, my baby missing. Oh, I don't know where he is. I don't know where she is. We want him back. Susan Smith, look at her. She accused a black man of taking her 2 little white boys. And by the grace of God, thank you, Jesus, detectives saw through that. Ain't nobody took her kid. Ain't no black man took her kid. This heifer's lying. All for the attention of a man. Wanting a man who didn't want children. Well, that was his right and that was his prerogative. Can't make somebody love you. So you see, people get rid of children for different reasons. Some are mentally ill. They're schizophrenic. They have voices in their head telling them the children are evil or telling them to kill the kids. Then you have those who just don't want their children and they get rid of them. They don't want to be bothered. Quentin Simon, prime example. Trifling ass bat who didn't love herself. Never was taught love. Sleeping around with different men, making babies, spewing these kids out like Skittles from a candy machine, and then knocking off one kid because she didn't want him. Who said Quentin wanted her as a mother? Checkmate. Then you had this disgusting mess over here in East Tennessee up the road from Queen. 4 kids living with absolute trash. And now they don't have any of their kids. See, there's your proof in the pudding right there. You don't have any of your kids. So that means you didn't want them, period. 1 went missing and 3 got taken from you, and you got your rights gone from them, and you didn't even do what it took to get them back. And I'm supposed to believe you didn't harm the little girl when you didn't even fight for the boys. And then you come over here to Middle Tennessee and you're seeing something was totally wrong with these parents. They obviously were bickering before the child went missing. If they didn't bicker a lot, they had some type of animosity with one another. An overzealous stepfather. And now he's gone. And all that case has done is garner negative attention as well, with orders of protections against YouTubers and now injunctions for people not to search. Daggers thrown of who's helping, not helping, shouldn't be helping. We don't even need to take a head count of how many people were involved in this Sebastian Rogers case, because we probably don't have enough fingers and toes. But that's the point. It's ridiculous. But the old saying is all help ain't good help. So a lot of people who got involved in this case trying to help Mr. Rogers, they weren't on the board for the right reasons. And we saw that play out with dirty YouTubers backstabbing him, acting like they wanted to help. Then the next minute, they're not friends with him. Just crazy nonsense. Because these people are not in it for the right reason. They don't care anything about Sebastian because they don't care about themselves. And then their own personal lives played out on YouTube. When people came forward to give you their business about dealing with them and how they use them in a relationship. This just goes to show you the people involved, they don't got no business rearing children, and they don't got no business talking about children. They really don't have any business talking about anybody's crime because they don't got their own shit together. It's just something to do. And everybody knows this hustle up here on YouTube, it's just what it is. It's a hustle. It don't matter if you're talking about how to decorate a room, how to crochet a booty, a sweater. It's a hustle. YouTube has afforded us people a way to make money, no matter the subject or the content. And it's time for everybody to realize that. So I take everything with a grain of salt. I say that all the time when I watch certain people who don't even talk about true crime on YouTube. I wonder, what is their life really like? Who are these people I'm watching? Many may say the same about me. Well, I am just a regular old ho-hum person. Nothing spectacular going on. I own it. I don't have anything to prove up here. I'm having a bad day. I'll let you know. One day I may have a bad day. I don't let you know. But the point is, we're all human and we're of the flesh. And we're not to be put on pedestals. Let me make that clear. Stop doing that. Stop expecting something from us because we are flawed. And after I have been on this box for the past 5 years, didn't become a partner, until around September, October of 20. It's a battle up here. It's what you make of it as well. But I don't want to be a part of this true crime business because I'm not like any of these other YouTubers. Let me make that clear. I'm not on the same page. I can get crunk. I cannot get crunk. But I'm not like any of them. And I've seen fraudulence in a lot of them. And I can say it on this live stream because a lot of you need to hear it because a lot of you are jaded and you don't want to own your part as well. And it's time for everyone to own their part in this true crime nonsense and social media business as well. You have to be very careful what you digest. You have to be very careful going into the belly of the beast, trying to help and aid in missing person cases and getting yourself involved with people you don't know anything about. I'm a living witness that I don't want to get involved with anybody pertaining to a true crime case. I said that yesterday. I've said it before. I don't want to because I don't like where it goes. I don't like where it leads. Because you don't know the people you're dealing with. I have tried to talk to people here in my own region pertaining to their own missing person, and these people don't even follow through. So they pick and choose who they want to deal with pertaining to getting the information out about their loved one. And I get it that I may be putting my foot in my own mouth when I say, well, don't go to YouTube. Don't talk to YouTubers. Well, I'm a YouTuber. Some of these people, they don't want to follow through. So I had to talk to other people about the case. And that was their right. They didn't want to continue talking to me or give me any type of information. But then the flip side is you can't say, well, I want the truth to be known and I want things to get out, because there's just certain things you're not going to be able to sit and tell the news, because the news, they do their news broadcasts in increments. YouTube is a free fall. I can let you sit up here for hours and talk about your loved ones. The news has to allot the time to let you talk about your loved one. There's a difference. So I don't take it personal anymore, because I won't be talking to anybody about true crime in my own region. I don't want to. And as I shared with you all the other day, someone notified me about a true crime of a woman who was murdered here recently, and they wanted me to pay them for their conversation. And I let them know I don't have any money to pay you. I don't make a lot of money from YouTube at all. So really, what I've been doing for the past 5 years has been almost a waste of time. I don't make a lot of money from what I discuss. So all the shorts and videos, to some degree, have been a waste of my precious time that I cannot get back. Thank you, darling. I don't have animation, none of that. I don't have memberships. For what? For what? I don't have anything to secretly tell you, drag you from this platform to another platform to try to talk about something else. People always telling me, well, do you have this? Do you have this over here? Do you got a Facebook group? Do you do this? For what? To dredge up more drama. I don't want to be involved like that. I'm a freestyler. I like talking about different subject matters because that's who I am as a person. I'm diverse. So it doesn't matter that I like true crime. I like true crime stories. It doesn't mean that it's meant for me to talk about it every day on my channel, because in the end, I didn't build my channel on true crime. And I don't like what's happening with true crime. It's disgusting up here on YouTube. And I don't want to be a part of it. And I have to preach what I talk about. Be a part of the solution and not the problem. And I've noticed that with people coming in the chat. Most of you are only here now because of what's in the title. But you're not in my chat when I'm talking about another subject, which really is disrespectful to me. Because I'm the same, no matter if I'm talking about Summer Wells, Sebastian, or I'm talking about a dirty politician. Transgendered lies. I'm still queen regardless. But that's okay with me. Because like I said, what you eat don't make me fat. I'm my own person. But I care about the children. I care about children in general. And I hate these stories for the obvious reasons. They are real. They are real children missing. And they have no business missing. But the obvious is that they were in the wrong hands. They were not loved. They were not revered. So it's expected that they would go missing. And someone will say, well, damn, Queen, that's deep. So we should assume people are going to kill their kids, sell their children. Well, that's what people are doing. I didn't make it up. I didn't orchestrate it. That's what these sick people are doing. They're selling their children, trafficking their children, murdering their children, abusing their children, starving their children. That's their choice. They know it's wrong. They can't go before the judge and say, I didn't do it. I don't know what was wrong with me. Oh, I was under the influence of alcohol, meth. Forgive me. Hell no. Ask God for forgiveness. He's the Alpha and Omega. I'm not God. We're in desolate times when a person thinks it's okay to abuse and neglect a child and unalive a child, and then go before the masses asking for help to find the child or crying that their child is missing, and then fall off and you never hear anything about them again pertaining to the child. And then they go to social media and talk ill of the child and dance around on YouTube channels talking about everything but the child, berating the child. So when you do this, you're showing me you are possibly the reason the child is gone. You're probably the main reason the child is gone. And you're never going to tell us you are the reason that the child is no longer alive, because then you would be admitting guilt. But you're going to dance around with the news and other people to get attention, and then have the nerve to go try to string up protection orders and say who's dousing you with gasoline and I don't want to talk to anybody else and blah, 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 when you know what you did and you don't want to own it. That's your salvation, not mine. Thank you, don't dive. These people are never going to tell you they harm their children. Too much time has elapsed to even consider running away, walked out. You're entitled to your opinion if you believe that. Could be a fluke in both cases. The children just ran out and died out in the wilderness. But I don't believe that. That's my opinion. I believe each case is nefarious in nature. I believe relatives got the children missing until their final resting place. And that tells me they are dirty and they don't deserve to be out here on earth. But that's God's judgment and in the court of law, not mine. I can't make the decision. We are taught that we're supposed to forgive our trespassers because God forgives us for our sins. But it is hard to do so because we are of the flesh. So we judge. Even us as sinners, we judge because that's just what we do. A thief isn't going to consider himself like a murderer. Checkmate. A fornicator isn't going to consider herself like a murderer. But in the eyes of God, sin is sin. He forgives all sin. He's probably the only one. I'm not God. Where are these children? Who can give us information to where we can find Summer Wells, Sebastian Rogers? Are the parents involved in the disappearances of both children? Are these people lying to the masses that they have nothing to do with the disappearance of their children? Do you believe the parents are involved in the disappearance of the children? Do you believe each child walked away, wandered off? Do you believe the children were sold? Do you believe the children were trafficked? Do you believe the children were given to somebody else to take care of the children and they are being hid out by someone? Then you have to ask, why would you do that? And why would this person not tell the truth that they have the child, as not to be arrested later as a co-conspirator for some type of fraud or scheme to hide the child out. You'd have to be an utter fool. But we do have people who do crazy things. So it's up to you what you think happened to these children. You're entitled to your opinion. That the children are alive, they're deceased, they were unalived by their parents. Other people are involved in the cover up, the conspiracy of the children. And you saw that play out in all these cases. That's why they're eerily similar. They all had neighbors coming out talking, crazy YouTubers with their speculations and meddling, bickering and going back and forth with the parents. That shows you they're just as crazy as they are. Because there's no way I'm going to sit up here and argue with the parents of a missing child. I don't rock like that. Because one, I'm leery about bringing anybody to talk about a missing child anyway. And really, it's dangerous to get involved when you start seeing signs that they're coming to social media and there's a lot of hoopla. Your better half should be like, well, I probably shouldn't get involved in this. But you do it for the likes and the views. You can't say that you're not doing it for that. You'd be a liar. And most YouTubers are never going to admit. That's why they talk about the subject. That's why they want to talk to the relatives. They want to talk to the neighbors. Because you know it'll get likes and views. Nobody is that dumb to think that's not why you're doing it. But as I said, this is a hustle. Bottom line. But you got to own your part you play. Because you can't throw daggers at the parents and throw daggers at other people involved in the story and then sit on a high horse and act like you're not a part of the bullshit as well. Come on with it, Quay. You got to own your part. And that's what a lot of YouTubers don't want to do. That's what a lot of chat members don't want to do. You don't want to own the part you play. Stalking, doxing people, it's not that serious. I have no reason to go sit on any of these people's porches, their jobs. I don't rock like that. I'm not getting ready to go to jail for none of these heathens. Not now, not never. Look at what it's cost Bullhorn Betty. No matter what you think she did and did not do, the point is she's in the fold now. Getting involved with Seth and then doing whatever people think she did to these other entities, it's a cost. Now we have this Mr. Fisher business, allegations with these other two people. Seth don't want searching. Some will say, well, he don't have the right to tell people not to search. It's a free country. To some extent, I agree. But I also know that nothing good has come from people getting involved. So my better half would say, it's probably best you leave it alone. Go get involved in another case. Go help somebody else out. Because this case is tainted. And you see how it's unfolding with court business. Why put yourself in that situation unless you like drama? It's not about winning, losing. It's about common sense. This case is not about Sebastian. It's about narcissism, egos. So why do you want to go ride that donkey ride to prove a point? Well, nobody can tell me I can't search. He's not really searching. He's not really searching. Dog the bounty hunter, he's not this. He's not licensed, blah, 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 blah. You're doing the same damn thing. So why participate when one, nobody sent for you? So see, I assess everything for what it's worth. Because the one thing I've learned that sometimes being right ain't worth the trouble. And that's why all these people are wrapped up in nonsense at this very moment, because they want to be right. Everybody that's got involved with the Sebastian Rogers case wanted to be right. They had a version. They had something to tell. They had to go run to Facebook. They had to run to TikTok. They had to run to X. They had to jump up here on a panel. They had to start a YouTube channel to prove they are right. Well, where are you now? Exactly. Nowhere. Sometimes it's best to just fall back and watch it unfold without your participation. You don't have to be right because you don't have to be involved. I don't have anything to prove, so I didn't have to get involved with any of these people. If they wanted to talk to me, they would. If they don't, then they don't. Let it be. And I've seen with my own eyes, you cannot trust anybody in any of these entities on social media, parents, family members involved in the case, chat members. The betrayal is real. I speak from experience. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've witnessed it. People are fake as a $3 bill. Just fake. And you learn the people by dealing with them. That's the only way you're going to know who's genuine and who is not. And I've seen it with my own eyes up here, dealing with other YouTubers. Fake as fuck. Everybody's crying and moaning about what this was doing. Then you going out here on a limb, you're defending people who you really shouldn't be defending, but you don't know it at that time. They're going to be the same ones that stab you in the motherfucking back. So it's best to stay in your own fucking lane. And that's exactly what I'm doing up here. I will bring you an update pertaining to the information and the news. But this other nonsense is just what it is. It's nonsense. You want to engage in it, knock yourself out. I don't have that kind of time. Because it ain't my battle. Social media is not the place for a true crime case to play out. But we have social media. It's nothing anybody can do about it. You can't stop people from talking and gossiping and spreading lies and stories. But if you continue to, people will sue you, such as Megan Thee Stallion. She has sued a YouTuber for putting out salacious lies about her. And see, they know who to go after. The channel with the views, the likes, the subs. I ain't got it. Now, I can easily be sued for saying something that was a lie and keep promoting it, no matter my viewership. And then YouTube can come in and say, well, there's a complaint filed against you, blah, 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 and it can affect my channel. That's common sense. But that's why you have to ask yourself, is it worth it? Spreading lies. It's not. You can give your opinion. You can say allegedly. Still can cost you in the end. I think this person did it. I think this person did it. I'm going to say this before I check out. Be very careful the people you promote in life, period. Whether social media or in your own personal life, because you don't know people. Know that the devil is real and that he uses people. And know the part that you play. You don't want to be one of these people. You don't want to be considered a demon seed, aiding and abetting foolishness and mischief and mayhem. Because in the end, you've got to pay the piper. And let me tell you, as I've said before, and I said about these parents, you all going to have to pay and stand a tone for how you behave in life, whether it was about your missing child or anything else. And I'm telling you, you don't want to be somewhere sick and destitute and looking back on your life saying, why did I do this? Why did I do these things? Lord, look at me now. I'm suffering so. And perhaps you're suffering because of how you lived beforehand. And you got to own the part you're playing with these missing children. You're not showing responsibility pertaining to a missing child. You're showing somebody that's ego driven. And that is not good. And it's disrespectful. And you may have to pay the piper later down the road. And you'll look back on this time and you'll say, I didn't do that right, and I didn't handle that right. And I didn't handle people right. So you can atone for all that now by stopping the foolishness. But these people are so self-absorbed, there is no stopping them. We live in a sad world. Very, very sad world. And I feel sorry for children. My empathy towards humanity is more geared towards children because children don't ask to be here. They don't choose to be here. They don't choose their parents. This is why many children cannot wait to leave their parents' home because they are mistreated. Now, we do have some children that are wayward and they just don't want to abide by rules. But what they don't understand, you're going to have to abide by rules at some point. So you think it's a good thing to be running around out here doing crazy things, drinking, getting high, using drugs, breaking the law, couch surfing. Trust me, it's a life that will grow old. And you'll realize you should have been abiding by the rules in your parents' house, whether you like the rules or not. We all have to follow rules. Nobody likes doing chores. Nobody likes going to bed at a certain time. That's just life. But trust me, when you become an adult, it's worse. Because if you don't have people to help you, guide you, give you money, put you on your feet, you are on your own. And it's a cruel world out here. And nobody cares about what your mother and father did to you, how you were treated. They're going to tell you to suck it up and join the program. And you are then going to see how wayward the world really is. You get in the wrong company. And you become a punching bag. You become a pawn. Then you may look back and say, wow, that life with my family wasn't so bad after all. But you're not going to know that until you get to that part of the road, you see. So everything is a life lesson. And sadly, these children had to learn the hard way. And that's my opinion. I don't think the children are alive. If they are, it would be a blessing. But then you have to ask yourself the obvious questions, as I have said before in numerous lives. Why are they with other people? What is the state of the children with the other people? Did anybody send the children with other people and concocted these ruses that their children are missing? That's what you have to ask yourself if you believe the children are alive and living with others. Then you have to ask yourself, if you think they walked away, ran away, why? And then the worst case scenario, they were unalived by their parents. Why? But as I always say, don't ask why, ask why not. Because you have to think like the perpetrator. I did it because I could. So you use deduction. They didn't want the children for whatever selfish reasons. I wanted out. I didn't want to be a mother. I didn't want to take care of the child. They were a problem. There was abuse. There was neglect. There was DHS involvement. I didn't want them going to court, testifying. Whatever the reasons are, it ain't good enough. Because a child should never be unalived by their caretakers. Nobody should be helping somebody unalive a child or cover up the murder of a child, whether it be intentional or accidental. Right is right, wrong is wrong. You don't aid anybody in the murder of a child, the cover up of a murder, cover up of abuse, neglect. Because as I said, you got to stand account for the role you played. And talking about it after the fact, what's the point? And that's what you see now playing out on TV. What I saw, what I heard. But why didn't you do something when the child was visible? Day late, dollar short. Child is gone. How do you even sleep at night knowing you saw a child abused, neglected? And I get it. At some point, you can't do anything unless you're going to risk your own livelihood. By what? Intervening? Kidnapping a kid? That's against the law. Record your conversations with an abuser. Just record it. Hey, I know you're beating up your kid. I know you're abusing the kid. You know this isn't right. I think you should forfeit your rights to your child. Record it. And then take it to the police station. Let it play out. Call the police and tell them, yes, I've seen abuse. Because it takes too long trying to fill out online forms pertaining to abuse with DHS. You see direct abuse. Children aren't being fed. They're being beat up. They're being hurt. Children wandering around without food, half naked. Bypass DHS. Just call the police and end it. Will we get an update pertaining to the disappearance of Summer Wells? Will we get an update pertaining to Sebastian Rogers? Where are the investigations at this point? Do they have something, but they don't want to release it to the media? As not to let a perpetrator know they believe they are involved in the disappearance of the children. Perhaps that is the case pertaining to both children. That detectives, TBI, have something, but they cannot tell us anything because it would alert the perpetrators. Or the flip side is they don't have anything in either case. And if they don't have information or evidence in either case, that would lead me to believe that both cases were deliberately orchestrated by their own parents. And that's my personal opinion. Because to have nothing leads me to believe it was planned. But the one thing we also have learned about planning a crime, 50 ways to plan a murder, 100 ways to get caught. You always forget something. So if this is the case in both disappearances of the children, that they were intentional homicides, I pray that the perpetrators forgot something and will lead to detectives, TBI, finding the truth. Somebody will come forward that has information. Because if they were unalive, both children, the perpetrators know, and perhaps they ask others to help, others to lie. And I would love to know what the children saw pertaining to the Summer Wells case on the day that she went missing. But we will never know because they are children. DHS won't respond. Sheriff won't respond in that case. Sumner County Sheriff, he has nothing to say. TBI, the only one speaking in the Rogers case. And he's told us nothing as well. Where are these children? Are they alive? And will we get a pertinent update besides the regular fluff we get from TBI pertaining to both children? And if indeed these children are not alive and they were unalive by their parents, all I can say for you is have mercy on your soul. Because retribution will come. It may not come today. It may not come tomorrow, but it will come. And have mercy. You better hope and pray that God will favor you. And also the judicial process, if indeed there is evidence to arrest you. Because as they say, you may not get it in this life, but you'll surely get it in the afterlife. And I don't think you want to cross over into the afterlife with what you've done to your child if you unalive him or her. Now, naturally, God can still show these heathens favor in the afterlife. That will be between them and God. But while you're here on earth, if you are brought to justice for unaliving your child, we the people won't show you favor. Because you had no reason to take the life of a child. Sebastian didn't ask to be here, and he didn't choose his parents or his upbringing. Summer Wells didn't choose her parents, and nor did she choose her upbringing. They are innocent children who just so happen to be born to troubled, tainted individuals. That is not their fault. And that is no child's fault. So if you are a parent, please treat your children accordingly. If you cannot rear your children properly, mentally, physically, then hand the baton to somebody else who can do so. And young people, keep your legs closed. You do not have to have sex with every Tom, Dick, and Harry. You do not have to have babies by different men. And you men, you don't need to be making children with different women. You too honoring to go get free birth control from your local health department? Then stop having sex. Stop making excuses. Because down the road, you have to pay for these kids. And the sad part about that is most of these children are derived from sex. Most people in the world have been derived from sex, not love. And the parents don't want to do right by the children. The fathers don't want to take care of the children. They don't want to own the children. They just become a check to the court system, and they don't even want to bond with their child. And that is pathetic because, once again, the children didn't ask to be here. So be responsible. Control your life. Control your body parts. You don't have to become a victim of the system. So later your child will become a victim of the system. That's my commentary. Like, share, subscribe, drop your comments below this video. Follow the Queen on the News Break app. Download the app, put in your location, and you'll get notifications to breaking news in your general area. And you also will get a notification for when I comment and when I post a video and other posts to the app. The Queen has 3,000 plus videos for your entertainment. Please check out my older content and my recent content in the YouTube queue. And if you'd like to donate, kindly, $BigAngie129 Cash App. Stickers and chats are always welcome. Thank you, Dolly, for your sticker. God bless all of you. Please be safe. Have a wonderful week. Hope everyone had a wonderful Halloween holiday. And the Vols won against Kentucky last night. Great game. Awesome game. Prayers for the youth. Prayers for our children. They are our future. So if you can mentor a child, be of use. I don't try to mentor adults because we are all stuck in our ways. But I will talk to a child because they can always change. They can always change. Adults are hard to talk to because, as I said, most of us are stuck in our ways. But talk to a child. Try to keep him or her on the right path so they can be successful. Do good in the world. Be of substance. Be of use. Be of value. If you see something, say something. Be a part of the solution, not the problem. Mind the children. This is live number 1 for today. I may come back on later this evening or tonight with another live. If not, I will be live this week. The election should be in full throttle. We will see what happens. Who will be voted in as our next president and vice president. Please vote. Make your vote count. You're a United States citizen. If you're allowed to vote in this great country, vote. If you decide not to vote, that is your choice. But be heard. Prayers for Summer Wells and Sebastian Rogers. Prayers for the truth and prayers for justice for these children. And prayers for all children who are currently missing in the United States. Thank you all so much for your time. God bless all of you. You have been listening to the Vault Excel. Thank you.